Where's the camera? What's up, everybody? What's going on? So, as I mentioned earlier this morning, the plan for this morning, afternoon, whatever time it is go through a bunch of questions that have been piling up that I want to help you guys out with. Things that range from some technique questions over to how I do editing and do mixing and things of that nature, all that kind of good stuff. So I've got a little list of questions here that I've got compiled that I'm going to go through, and then some tab things that we'll play around with if I've got some time and energy left at the end to go through and work on with that. But if there are any questions, let me see if I go ahead, do some small adjustments here. There we go. That's a little bit better on my microphone volume. Sorry, I'm still getting everything all hooked up here, trying to do live sound and all that kind of stuff. But 4 questions we're going to go over that I've got on here. One is the help with a slapping pattern on Right on Time, getting the muting going. I'm going to talk about that. We've got how to mix the bass and audio into regular audio. We've got this double popping idea where you use 2 fingers to pop. And then on Fly Day Chinatown, a figure that's just a real quick bar chord figure. I'm going to show you how to do that and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so starting off first, and other thing too, I've got the YouTube chat here over on the side. Hey, what's going on, Dave and Al? Both here. What's up, guys? So yeah, I'm going to be checking out the questions over on the side. So if you got any questions on anything, hit me up. And then again, as I said a little bit earlier, I'm going to chop this up later into smaller parts so it's easier for y'all to check out and for other people to check out too. Okay, moving on. And this is going to be a rough stream, let me tell you, because I have no idea where I'm going and what I'm doing. Do I still have audio? Good, I still have audio. All right. So let's go to Right on Time. So what we're talking about here, the part in question is the main part of the song, the main riff. Let's just listen to it one time and hope we don't deafen ourselves because this might be loud. And let's just jump ahead. It's a little loud. A little loud for me at least. Maybe not feel. Okay, so we're getting close here. Okay, so there we go, right on time. And let me make sure I've got all my audio. Good, I got my audio set up properly. All right, switching back over Kim. Well, let's just look at this one time. I'll leave this on screen. I'm going to play just these top 2 lines, or just like that first riff there, somewhat up to tempo. And let me see if I can now get my been all right on time. That's about one. Let's get it to 120. There we go. Okay, so I got 120 on my drum machine here. See if I can get this. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, I made a couple of mistakes in there, but the main idea is you've got this really fast double thumb slap idea while you're muting in the left hand. And it seems and it sounds more complicated than it is. So let me do that one more time now. I'm going to do it regular tempo, and then I'm going to go and do it half tempo. So one more time, full tempo, and I'm just going to do 4 measures starting from 23. Full tempo. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, quick. Now, we're going to do that half tempo. So, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. going to get the drums out of the way there and talk a little bit about what we've got going on in the right hand and in the left hand. So this is an advanced bass line for those of y'all who were working on this one. But what you've got is you've got a combination of left-hand finger control for hammer-ons and pull-offs. So our very first 5/7 there at the beginning is a hammer-on. And for this part here, I'm just going to zoom in on my hands for a little bit. Let this come a little bit closer so y'all can see this. Actually, can I do... Oh, yeah, it's like I've almost done this before. Okay. So now you can see a little bit of everything, what's going on here. Yeah, got the Billie Jean intro. See, these guys know what's up. So right here at the beginning, with our left hand, we've got this. I'm just not even going to slap. I'm just going to do my right hand plucking. We've got this hammer on. And these X's are the notes. It's better to see it. There we go, like that. So you can see that these X'd out notes are open. Or in the next case, we've got 5/7 open, 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 5/7 open, 5. So we've got this hammer on, double thumb hit, hammer on. So now if I'm doing it with my right hand, doing the slaps. Again, I'm just doing measure 23. One more time, not doing any of the muting. I'm just slapping at half tempo, all of the notes exactly how I would be slapping them with my right hand. 3 and 4 and. I'm sorry, 3, 3 and 4 and. Okay, now I'm going to do it with the mutes. 3 and 4 and. So when I'm doing the mutes, all I'm doing, see if you can get a good view there. If this is holding a string down, that's what I'm doing. I'm just touching it barely. So if I'm not, I'm going to show you I'm not touching it, and then I barely touch it. That's not enough if I barely touch it. A little more than barely touch. And if I push down, there's the note. If I'm not pushing down enough, I get that buzzing sound, and there's the mute. So you have to play around with that. You have to play around with that with every finger. So I'm on the 5th. In fact, don't do the 5th fret because the 5th fret has a harmonic. So that can get in the way. So let's do it on the 4th fret here. So I've got nothing, so I'm just going to play my open E, and I apologize to everybody. I have a 5-string bass. I've gotten a lot of questions asking me, do you have to have a 5-string bass to play these songs? Do you have to have a 5-string bass? For the most part, no. If we look at our music here, the tab is for 4-string standard bass. I'm poor. This is all I have. It's just my 5-string bass. And so I know it's confusing to see this C or this extra B string down here, but I don't use it. And in this song, I do not use it at all. So just a little side note there. Okay. So coming back to now this muting idea, let's go back to our 4th fret here. So I'm playing the open E. Now I'm going to start barely touching it. That's not enough mute. There we go. That's enough mute. If too much. Now I'm fretting it. I'm releasing. There it is. So that's what you want. Get that with your 3rd finger. Get that with your 2nd finger. Show right here too. Get that with your 1st finger. When you get a feel for it, that's a really good exercise anytime you're practicing bass, what's called finger replacement, or any string instrument. I'm just switching fingers. Same note. Whoa, see, I did a bad job. I should practice. 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see I'm moving my fingers down here in position to where they would be normally. So really good exercise. Thank you, violin. Okay. Now, with this, the slapping idea, it's the same thing. You just want to barely stop it. And you're going to get that kind of fuzzy, metallic-y, growly sound. It's going to sound real dead. That's what you want. So again, if we fret something properly, that's what it sounds like. If we're dead, that's what it sounds like. Hey, City Pop Dave brings up a very good point about the B string. If there's a lot of opinions on 5-string basses because they always say, well, if you're not going to use the B string, don't have it. Don't mess with it. It's nice to have as a thumb rest because if I didn't have this, I'd be restricted to these 2 points, which are, I know this is hard to see on with my cameras, but these are the pickups. They're very thin, and I've only got these 2 spots. I could get an attachment that adds a little piece right here, but it's easier just to have a B string. Another advantage. Okay, back to the task at hand. So when I'm muting this open string here, it's an open. How do you mute that? Well, it's muted. I just barely touch the 7th fret right here because I'm already in that position doing a 5-7 open. I'm just barely touching that string. If I was pushing it down, too much. Not enough, too much sound. That's exactly how much sound I want. And then I do the same thing for beat 3. So we're right here at measure 23, and let's do the half time. 3, 3, and 4, and. Okay, let's do that one more time. 3, and 4, and. Just like that. Okay, now let's turn on our goofy little drum machine and let's work just that measure up to tempo. Yeah, it's not goofy enough. Hold on. Closer. I like that a lot. Okay. Half tempo. Here we go. Now that's too mean. That's too mean. That goofs up the tempo. I won't do that. There we go. Good old metronome. All right. So we're going to work our way up to 120, and we're at 60. So da-da-dum, 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 dum, 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 da-da-dum. In fact, I'm going to take back what I said earlier. Instead of doing one measure, we're going to do 2 measures. And we're going to focus in right there on those 2 measures right there. So for this next measure, my muted notes are going to be right there on 5. And when I go to that second beat of 24, I go from having it be muted to fretted. So it's mute, mute, fret. Oh yeah, I love that whining sound from my turntable. One more time, 24, beat 2, mute, mute, fret. Like that. So measure 24, 3 and 4 and. Whoa, my bad. 3 and 4 and. So let's start our whole progression here. So this is going to be a rhythmic progression. I'll see you guys on the other side in probably like 3 or 4 minutes. 60 BPM, 23, 3 and 4 and. and 4 and. Okay, let's kick it. Now, I am going to go up by 10 clicks because I've practiced this before. Everybody hits a brick wall where it gets all of a sudden, it goes from being totally easy and you understand it to impossible. Go back. If you need to go by 5 clicks, go by 5. If you need to go by 3, go by 3. If you need to go by 2, you get it. Go only as slow, go only as quickly as you make 0 mistakes. Okay, that's the key. Don't go too fast. Da da dum da da dum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, as we are going faster, it's important to really think about balance in your right hand because you need to stay loose. And as we go up to maximum tempo, we're going to use a very advanced technique to help get some of these double and in some cases later triple slaps as quickly as possible, rhythmically, but also very musically. So for right now, focus on keeping everything very balanced and relaxed in your right hand. If you've not watched some of my earlier videos talking about placement of the thumb, of where to hit it, you want to aim for, you can feel a little bone in the side of your thumb. You want to aim for right there or a little bit above it. Everybody's a little bit different, but it's right in that area. You're going to waylay the gosh darn out of your thumb a lot. But eventually you'll get a little callus there, and that's what you want to get these slaps. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, we got a question over here. Does muting it on a different fret affect the sound? When I mute, I just do it wherever and never really thought much of it. Excellent question. We're going to pause our metronome here for 1 second here to answer that. When you're muting, it depends on what your mute sound is trying to be. Let's switch over here to studio view for a second so you can see my face. Enough of my chin. So when we're muting, here's an example of me muting all the way up the fret going from 1 all the way to 12. So if I'm slapping an open E, now I'm going to start muting on the 1 and then just take it up. Whoops, push down too hard. Not a big deal. Doesn't make a huge difference. Now, earlier I mentioned harmonics. If you're working on the 5, the 7, the 12, and then I think you got to add math. I don't want to do it right now. You can mute a harmonic and it gives you more of a squeal. You hear a very mild phasing sound. A phaser is what we call that. So if you want that real specific sound, you can do that. But Dave brings up a good point. In general, your muting can be anywhere because, again, you're not trying to fret the note. You're not pushing it down all the way. You're touching it just enough to deaden that sound. And again, I found a harmonic. There we go. And you can put your other fingers underneath too to really deaden the sound. Very subtle differences, but good question. Good question by Dave there. Okay, so what would you say, we got a question from Al, what would you say is the hardest part of Ride on Time and how do you try to make it easier? What is the hardest part of Ride on Time? What we're doing right now, and I will show you. I'll keep going. Hey, I'm streaming again. Hey, you're hanging out again. Good to see you, Justin. All right, here we go. Let's go back to the tab video. So we are now at 70 BPM. So we're a little faster than half tempo, and we're trying to figure out here how to get a good, relaxed right hand slap. So if you're really struggling with the notes, take them all out. Just do the rhythm. The rhythm is Fortunately for us, it's almost the same throughout the whole piece for this part, which is 2/16 and 1/8, 2/16 and 1/8, 1/8, 2/16, 1/8, 1/8. That was a mouthful, but if I play it just rhythms, all on an open E, you'll hear what I'm talking about. Here we go, 23. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's what you want to practice, is just the rhythm. Again, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now I put the muting in. Ready? Here I go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, here I go. Open strings with muting. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, I know that there's popping in there that I'm not doing, but that will get you ready for this 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and the coordination of the left hand 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Because this first measure is a little bit different. This first measure is not muted. The rest of the time, it's muted on this first beat. Here, this is where our melody starts again, not muted. And then it's muted. You can see that. Okay, so going back to our two measures that we're focusing on, let's go back to playing the actual notes here, and we'll keep moving forward. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's keep moving now. Up to 80. All right. 80 BPM. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. Okay, now we're going to move it up to 90. Again, only go as fast as you feel comfortable. If you're struggling at this point, stay at that tempo for a while. Start moving it up by 1, 2, 3 BPM. You can move it in such a slow way that you don't notice the differences. Okay, so 90 now. Here's where we need to start really thinking about our hand balancing properly. So before we play the actual excerpt, we're going to do just triple slaps on an open E, because now we're starting to cross that threshold where it becomes a little harder to keep the rhythm super, super steady. So let's just focus on our right hand open E string. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm muting here a little bit with my left hand. I'm not going to do that. I don't want it to be confusing. We're just going to mute open E, let it ring. We're going to do 2/16 and an 1/8. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2. And 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, 1 E and. So you want to get that nice and comfortable. Okay. Here's the excerpt at 90 BPM. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Ah, shoot. One more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, we're going to keep going here. All right, hey, what's up, Hunter? Good to see you. Hey, we also got colon in parentheses. Nice to see you. I feel dead notes sound super simple, but are actually pretty tricky. They can be tricky. So talking about difficulty level here, somebody was saying, oh yeah, I'm just getting started out. This is not the song to test your new bass skills out on. This one has a lot of complicated skills, but I'm not trying to deter anybody from learning it. You can. You just got to keep in mind a lot of things and practice several individual things, and then you'll be good to go. Because once you get this, it's the whole song. Then the left hand part, man, if you can do the right hand pattern, forget it. Left hand is just octaves. Very, very straightforward in the left hand. But good. Yeah, with beginning in the bass, after I go through this one, helping y'all out, I'm going to go through and show you a much better song to start popping and slapping on. That'll be good for everybody. So, here we go. Yeah, thank you for the love, Hunter. It's very kind of you. All right, let's keep going now. We're going to go to 100 BPM. Because I want to go ahead and start showing you guys this advanced technique that I have seen other bass players use and that I like to use, where I let my hand open up to get that third strike. And my fingers aren't doing anything, but the energy from my fingers coming forward lets me get a faster triple hit without having to work my hand too fast. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I keep my hand totally together, this is what it looks like. It's okay, but I'm starting to tense up in my right arm, and I would not be able to go faster. This is 100, and I need to get to 120. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go half time again, quarter time. I'm letting my fingers open up, and when that happens, it pulls my hand down. So if I'm doing 2 rotations from my hand, I can do a third rotation, so to speak, from my fingertips. So instead of having to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now this looks weird having my fingers come forward, but let me show you again in action. So here's without opening my hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here's with opening my hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, again, the benefit is totally lost at slow tempos. You should practice it this way, but the benefit is seen when you're trying to play at full tempo. Now, here we go. Ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. Here's with a tight arm, so to speak. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I can do it, but I'm starting to tighten up in my arm, and I would not be able to maintain 120. Now, here's me doing it with my open idea, where I open on the third one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There we go. It's tricky to get into, and you've also then got to coordinate popping over on the other side. But let's just look at this a little bit in context. I just wanted to get that idea out there just to think about. This is a super advanced technique. But if you're at that point, it's something to think about. And even if you're not at that point, it's good to understand that the hand for slapping has multiple ways to achieve that slap. Not just from wrist, not just from arm, not just from forearm, but also from your fingers. You got lots of options. So here we go. 100 BPM with the open hand technique. Measures 23 and 24. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let's try that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So again, it's tricky to get in there because I only get to use that technique on beat 2. But I still want to use it there. Okay, let's go a little bit faster because I want to move on to other techniques for us. All right, here's 110. I'm going to warm up with an open string. Oof. See, it's starting to get fast. And if I try to do that straight wrist, I can do it, but it takes a lot more concentration, and I'm not as relaxed in my hand. The other advantage is it gives it a different sound. It gives it an accent. Ta-ka-ta, 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 which is what I want in this song. It's tricky. All right, 110, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Whew, missed a note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, gonna get it. It's a tricky one, y'all. All right, let's do 120 and move on. Boom. Here we go, 120, full tempo. Whew. This is where it really comes into play for me, because you saw at 110 I was spinning out. It's because I practiced it so much at 120. And this is where it's so... my arm. You got to be relaxed. Now, all of this of what I'm saying would be completely mitigated. You would never have to worry about this if you could double thumb, which I can't do. I'm still practicing that. So we're stuck with just slapping. But here we go, full tempo. Measure 23 and 24. 1, 2, ready, go. Woo! 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we'll go back and we'll play a little bit of it just for fun. See how that goes. Call it quits on this one. Y'all think if you have any other questions on this part right here, and then we're gonna move on to another question. But y'all had some really great insights, really great questions and comments here, so I'm very excited for what is to come. All right, here we go, a little bit of Right on Time. Wrong string. Here we go. All right, quit while I'm behind. All right, let's switch back over there. So, Right on Time, a very advanced song, a fantastic song, a classic, something that all y'all should, anybody who's playing bass, you can do it. It is not the impossible song. It's not one of those crazy Marcus Miller things where you're doing all sorts of crazy tapping left hand, right hand shenanigans. It's pretty straightforward. It's just an interesting rhythm. And as I'm sure all y'all who've put in more than a couple months into it, you're starting to realize that a lot of these rhythms, especially for bass, pop up over and over and over again. There's repeating funk rhythms. There's repeating rhythm and blues bass lines. There's reoccurring falling bass lines. They all have names and different things like that. I wish I was better at chords. That's another thing y'all ask me is, can you do a harmonic analysis of the piece? It's like, I wish I could. For all the years I've been in music education, I should know how to do it better, but it really is a skill and a gift. And when you start getting into jazz, you've got options and you have different interpretations, which is what makes it so cool, because this music bases itself a lot on jazz and pop and rock, but there's a lot of interpretation to be done, and I'd rather just tab. So moving on, though, let's see if we got any other question. Nope, got some positive feedback from Dave, which I'll take. But let's keep moving on. Now, I said I was going to give you an example of a good beginner popping and slapping song. Let's go ahead and switch back over here to the tab videos. Here's my flat IO library, if y'all have not. Hey, look at that, a little Bach. Oh, you can't see it. I've got some Bach in there. This is my collection that I have on flat.io, music library for Alex63501. Anyway, these are my tabs that I've got. Hey, I do have Taxi Man. Somebody asked me about Taxi Man, and I shut them down, and I said that I didn't have it. I'm a liar. I've got it right here. Huh, did I finish it? Oh, I totally finished it. Ow. Hey, well, there you go. Oh, it's in the wrong key signature. I'll fix this up for you later. Hey, look at that. Free fine. Okay, but we're talking about a good popping and slapping starter. And that would have to be, in my opinion, My Yamane. Tasagore. A fantastic song. And this, the reason I say it's a great start is because you have to do a ton of tone control. So in this piece, there's not very many notes, and it all repeats. This is the main riff, and you guys cannot see that. Let's zoom out a little bit more. There we go. How about that? So right here, the main riff of this song, it's very slow. One, thumb. Uh. Or, because somebody was asking questions about how do I practice doing double popping. So we've talked a lot about slapping today. Now we're going to talk about popping, which is the pulling off action. So as you can see here, you're not going to be able to hear me on the mic because I'm going to get so close to my webcam here. But what you're doing is you're not trying to hook your finger all the way under. You're trying to get your finger under just enough, and you can see how curved, crazy amount of curve my finger has, that I can pull, and it's going to rake across the tips of my fingers. I'm going to get close to the camera now so y'all can see. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to try to see there, but the idea is that you're trying to get just enough of the tips of your fingers to get under there. And to show you, you're going to goof yourself up a little bit with blisters at the beginning. You can't really see. Oh, that's what I get for trying to do something on the fly. I just get a weird close-up of blurry fingers. Anyway, I've got calluses on the tips of my front two fingers. I don't have so much on my third, and I need to practice that for slapping or popping. But when I do it, you can see I come under way too much. And that hurts. See, like I just hurt myself. Great. So you don't want to do it too hard. You want to just be close to the tip and pulling up. But for right here, for My Yamane, if we're looking here at measure 12, and I'll play this for you here with the music here in a second. There we go. All three of these notes can be popped. Now, I have pop, slap, slap for, but you could very easily do a 2 and then 3, 3. Or alternate. So I can do 2, 1, 2, Okay, or I'm going to do 1, 2, 1. And I'm talking about these fingers. 1, 2, sorry for flipping you off. 1. So here we go. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 1. Now I'll do 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 2. Now I'll do 1, 2, 3. Ow. 1, 2, 3. Stuff like that. So that's another way you can look about and think about this. All right, we got a question here. All right. Ooh, good night. I'm glad you got to hang out a little bit before you got to go to bed. Sweet bass dreams. All right. How high is the action on your bass? Every time I lower it the slightest, I get a lot of buzz and weird tone. Oh man, Speedwalker, you're asking a great question. I try to keep my action fairly low, but I'm a pop and slap dude, so I need some of that height to get a good slap, because one of the core components of slap tone is hitting your string directly against a fret. See, and I found a harmonic. There we go. But if you don't hit it exactly against a fret, like if you go sideways, and let's do a different string. It's going to be dull. The string is going left and right like you're plucking. No, that's not what you want. You want perfectly up and down. And to get a fatter, thicker sound, especially on a Warwick, you need a little more height. But mine is not crazy. I would say maybe 3 millimeters. 3 millimeters at the top and like maybe 1 millimeter at the down here. So very precise. Now, I don't mess with it very much. I'm fortunate enough, I'm down here in Texas where there's a lot of really, really great musicians and music shops. And there's a luthier that I personally take my instruments, all of my stringed instruments to, and he sets them up phenomenally. And since he does other work for me, he'll do it for free. But if you guys ever have issues with your instruments, and especially if you've just purchased a new instrument, I cannot tell you how much time and headache this will save you. In fact, I'm going to switch over to the other cam so I can give you a true PSA. Look at me. Take your instrument to a guitar center, to your local guitar shop, to a luthier if you've got the connections or the time to drive and find one or take a train, whatever. Get your instrument set up. There are so many different things, but just to give you an overview of everything, of 3 major things that can go wrong. 1, your truss rod, which is a piece of metal that goes all the way through your neck. That's what adjusts, or partly adjusts, your action. So your neck can bend forward or bend backwards. And depending on where your instrument was manufactured to where you live, just that right there can be such a big difference in temperature. These instruments are alive. They're made of wood. So they change, they breathe, they go in and out depending on temperature, weather, all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. Second thing, height of all of these little nuts, the individual bridge. Everybody's bridge is a little bit different. The height, my nut is covered by my fret wrap up here, but you got that thing going on. You got lots of things can go wrong. That's just 2, but anyway, take it to get set up. I'm serious. I would say about 80% of the time I've had it done for free. Even people I've never met before. And when I have been charged, it was like $5, or they said, well, setup is $10, but if you buy strings or if you buy something from the store, I'll do it for free. Because it's really one of those things that's a knowledge. It's knowledge, and it's a trial and error, knowing a lot of instruments. And unless you're somebody that has the time to sit there and tweak it and just play is this bet, because it's exactly like sitting at a doctor's office and or at an eye doctor, and they cover one eye and they go, okay, A or B, A or B, and it's not as easy as doing that because you're going, is that better? Is this better? And you can just lose hours and hours and hours and get nowhere. So, super, super long answer to a question that I probably could have answered in 10 seconds. Yeah, go get your instrument set up. My action, I keep it even. very, very even, because I want to slap down here the same way I slap up here. And you can already hear the difference. I can't get as much tin, because look how high I can. Okay, look how high I can jump, Mom. Oh, actually, this is perfect. So look how far I can pull this string out. Bow. Look at that up here. Oop. Yep, you can't see it. Ow. It's a huge difference in how much room I have to pull that string up and away. Okay, let's see here. Now, I talked so long I missed like 8 questions. Let's look here. Also, at some point, can you do key signatures? Yes, I can definitely talk about key signatures. Double pop. Yes. Okay, going into that. Yeah, if you go too low, you can get a buzz. Very true. So if your action is too low, then you are playing an open string, and you'll buzz against your first fret. So you definitely don't want that. You have to change the intonation. I don't even want to go into that bag of worms, but you're totally right. I do keep my nut covered. Oh yeah, I'm a funny boy. Now, going back to my Yamane, this is why I like to promote this song as a really great intro to slap and popping and slapping, is because it's a 6-minute song. It's a cool song. It's like, it's got that, because the bass is the center of the song, because it's hitting you with the constant background. And it forces you to play really clean, because you have to hit these opens and learn how to left hand mute. So I've got a 5 string, so I have to mute my B string with my thumb. I need to mute my A string with my first finger, so I can hit and aim for that open E. Mute. That sucked. So it really reinforces left hand, right hand timing, because I don't want to hold these. No, I want to get off. As soon as I play the note, I lift off my finger. But I lifted off too much. And it rang. So I need to lift off into a mute. There we go. And if I make a boo-boo, I immediately hear it. So if I'm practicing cleanliness, this is great. Really, really great for cleanliness. Then later in the song, we get a lot of finger style. I don't remember. We're going to find out, because I'm going to play a little bit of it for you here. This song is really cool for those of y'all who have never seen it before, or have never heard it. You're in for a treat. I'm envious of your fresh ears. And I apologize if the tab is a little goofy here. But I want y'all to hear this, because it's a really great example of a beginning song that's really cool, that will teach you a lot. Close. And slap. Keep it clean. I can switch hand positions. Really get those pops. Switch fingers. Switch strings. Hand position. I can't talk and play. Same thing. But stay out of my Yamane's way. Don't slap too hard. Too much. Hang out in the background. See? I came out on the slap, or the pop. But I'm barely slapping, so lightly, but it still sounds good. I barely popped there. Now, the next time, I'm gonna make it obnoxious. Right here. Get ready. Finger style. Oh, here it is. A little fill. Back to slaps. Finger style. Finger. Slap. Now you can be gruff. So, that is the general idea there. So when you're learning how to do all the popping and the slapping stuff, really take it one thing at a time, one step, because the 3 biggest tips I can give you is balance, placement, and speed. So you want to have the right, maybe not in that order. Let's go with placement, balance, and speed. You want to have placement exactly correct. You want to be slapping in the same part of your thumb every time. You're not slapping here and then slapping all, different parts of your thumb always. You're going to hit the same spot. So practice all. If you have 4 strings, start with E, A, D, G. And even though you're like, well, when am I ever going to be slapping on the G string? Like, you never know. That's a bad example. But you want to practice everything. You want to be able to move. See, I need to practice. Then you want to do that with the right hand. When I say balance, I'm talking about balance in the right hand. Make sure that this feels comfortable going slap, set, pop. Let me show you from another side here. We want this all very comfortable over here. Set, pull. And I'm... Frieza, get out of the way. Okay. So when I pull off, I'm ready to come back down. And as I come down and I bounce off the string, you see I'm not touching the string, but my finger's ready. Because when you're slapping, you don't stop. You don't stop. No, you bounce. But you only want to bounce so high. I'm trying to look at myself in the camera and do this at the same time. So you slap with the bounce, set yourself up, pop. Slap with the bounce, set yourself up, pull. Bounce. No, it's the beep of death. Hiss. None of this. That's what I used to do and sound like all the time. Also, don't rip your right hands to shred. One of the things that I have that everybody, this is City Pop Dave, I owe a huge gratitude to. He saved me years off my hands. Get a compressor pedal. If you want to pop and slap, it's anywhere from like a $60 to $150 investment that will save your life. Seriously. Because what it does is it gives you so much more control over what you can do with your tone. You can, I mean, again, I could spend a whole video talking about compressors, but trust me, if you want to get into popping and slapping more than just 1 or 2 songs, buy a compressor. Or get a compressor plug-in for your direct in, whatever. Have a compressor. Okay, let's keep moving on. Let's check in here. Bonitz Alex Strum. Pockers. Yes. Okay, so let's keep going here. We've got, so double popping. We talked a little bit about this with my Yamane. How you just want to get used to plucking with the tips of your fingers right at the edge where you're hooking it up. It's usually easier to start off on the G string because you don't have to get in between two strings. You can just start right up here. There's a song called Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. Last night compression saved my life. Compression, yeah, man. Compression can make a bad bass player sound decent and can make a decent bass player sound way better than they are. That's how I survive. Okay, so we are going to talk a little bit about where double popping comes in. Because, again, it depends on your style. If you're doing double thumb technique, this kind of stuff, the need to do double pops like that, you're going to need that more. I play in a style that is a little bit crippled because I can't do that. So I don't have to do those double pops with my right hand, and I get away with that by using a lot of open strings. So if I'm doing a real goofy, fast funk passage, like... my left hand is just... It's just these 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 7 5 7 5, and maybe a slide in. But otherwise, it's my right hand going, just making constant sound. So even if I'm not playing a note with my left hand, you just constantly hear this. Stuff like that. So, going back to this double pop idea, we're going to both practice it together. It's exactly what it sounds like. You just got to pop and pop. Start with the metronome. So I'm going to do one pop with a metronome click, one click, nothing, and then the third click, it'll be a note. Wow, I said that really, really stupid. Bum and bum. I'll stick with what I did. 5th fret, 7th fret. Ready, and go, and. So I'm doing 1, 2, 1, 2. Ready, here I go, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. Again, if you can do it slow, you can do it fast. That's 120. I just randomly went to 132. Again, bum and bum and bum and bum and 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's switch angles here so you can see that. 1 and 2 and 1 and. Now you see I don't have to pull this off super high. Earlier when I was being extreme, that was to show you how hard you can pull it if you have a compressor. But you do not need to do that at all. You're going to hurt yourself for reasons you don't need. And it's not going to help your sound. So again, let me show you doing that with our frets here, 5 and 7, keeping the hand low. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. And you can see I'm keeping the top part of my hand stationary right now. I'm keeping it down because I'm practicing my positioning. Eventually, yeah, I'm going to have to grab this from the air. But if you try to do that right at the beginning, you're going to have a bad time. Keep your hand placed down here. Let me get you a better view. There you go. Whoop. Even better view. There we go. See? You can really just barely grab the tip. 1 and 2 and. Okay, you get the idea. Faster and faster and faster. This is 173. Ready and go and. never, 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 never. Oh my goodness, you're so good, you're so good, you're playing it so fast. Oh, yay. And I can't do it. But that's the idea. Anytime you want to go fast, you got to start slow. And you're going to find that brick wall, and then you just push through that brick wall. Okay. Back to les questions. Let's see here. Yeah, compression. That's good. I need to get one, but I'm going to use one. Yeah, use one of my DAW. Are physical ones better? I never play through my amp anymore, so I don't know if I really need it. Same question. Excellent question. I struggle with this exact problem all the time. Because right now what you're hearing, this is direct. Now, let's see here. What do I? Yeah, this is direct in. I'm going from my Warwick into, I've got a tuner, a compressor, and then I've got a distortion pedal that I'm not using, this thing. But anyway, I've got just those three. That signal goes into my mixer that is pumping into my RC505, which is my sound card for this. And it sounds okay. You know, if I take all the treble off. But listen to that. My compressor's on, but I still get that low frequency buzz that I don't get if I'm trying to. If I crank my audio up though, my treble. But for popping and slapping, it's not a bad sound. But that's not the question you're asking me. You're asking me, is it different playing between virtual and an amp? Yeah, it's different. And if you can properly mic yourself in an isolated room, I think, you know, with nice mics and everything, I think that is the superior sound, personally, if you're really trying to get super fat funk tone. However, it really is a negligible difference if you've got a nice audio interface. I am poor, and I keep skirting lines with all of my equipment. So like my RC505, this is a loop station. That's not meant to be a sound card, but it has a powerful sound card in it that I use as my main audio card for my computer. Then I've got this DDJ Pioneer. It's also a sound card. It's the same thing, and it's not meant to be used in the way that I'm using it, but anyway, if I had a proper audio interface that then went into a nice bass cabinet head, I'd be good to go, and I could get a really nice sound that would be no different from miking it. So if you can see behind me now, bloop, this Marshall, I got that on my 16th birthday. Hey, Dad, what's up if you're watching? He got that for me. That thing is super, super sweet. It's a hybrid amplifier that's half tubes, half circuit boards, which they call solid state. So half valve, half solid state. So you get a little bit of both worlds, and it sounds really, really cool. You can get really great sounds. That thing, when I plug it into all this, sounds fantastic. My bass sounds like shit coming through it because it's a guitar head amp. But my guitar sounds super, super sweet. It's a really, really great sound. But it has signal hum. Something in this house has ground loop hum. So it's really hard for me to mic things like you're hearing right now. I'm sure if we're quiet, you'll hear this horrible hiss. It's because I just wanted to do this as a help video, and I wasn't super concerned about the audio quality. But this is what happens if you don't have everything on there. Now, getting back to the actual question. Just as far as using a compressor, a real compressor versus a virtual compressor, I think you're going to have better luck with a physical one, but just because I think they're easier to use and to manipulate at first. Having said that, if you've got if you've got a good audio input that does it in real time, yeah, the virtual ones are fantastic. But it's dangerous because they've got so many more knobs, so many more options, and unless you really know what you're doing, you can get lost in the minutia of trying to tweak one sound or one idea and really get yourself lost. And with my compressor pedal, I've got 5 knobs on it. I've got a input output volume, how much I'm putting in or how much I'm putting out. I've got a compression knob of how much, 4, 8, 12, or 20. Just 4 options right there. And then I've got the release and the attack. And that's it. And that is plenty, more than enough to confuse me on how to get a appropriate tone for whatever song I'm trying to do or things like that. So, anyway, there's my terrible answer to your very, very, very good question. All right, moving on. Also, what is a sound card? I'm building a PC and I come from gaming background, and these are considerations I need for recording. Yes, they are. I have to take a sip of my topo here before I jump into this one. Yes, sound cards are important. If you were building your own PC and you were building it for recording, for the love of God, please look into shielding. Make sure ground loop hum. The thing you're hearing right now is what I'm dealing with. I need a second computer. I've got one coming on the way eventually, hopefully someday. But yeah, if you are running all of your equipment through itself and there's any outside power source, you can get this ground loop hum. So when you're picking or building a computer, you want to have a shielded sound card. So either have that integrate, I think, and I still am trying to figure this out for myself, so please do research on your own. Do not take my word as canon on this. But I'm pretty sure you want to avoid on motherboard sound cards because they're on the motherboard where the power is being cycled through. If you put it through a PCI slot, or even better, if you do it through an external audio like a USB 3 or FireWire, you're at even better chance to not have any kind of weird audio interference. Now, having said that, it also depends on what your power supply is. Your power supply is another big thing. So if you're talking about what should I do for music production, those kinds of things, the easy answer, buy a laptop, because they don't have nearly the same kind of power hum problems. They're generally just as powerful, but they're more pricey. If you're down to do the research, the better option is building a PC. It's cheaper, it's more powerful, you can customize the hell out of it. But it's a little more dangerous if you have these kinds of issues. So now, getting to y'all's question, Dave, asking about what is a sound card. A sound card is a piece of tech that processes your audio. So if you've ever tried to record something or stream on your computer using your webcam and your integrated mic, you've probably noticed, oh yeah, no problem. Like, it works pretty well. That stuff is all hard wired into your motherboard, so there's no latency. Once you start hooking up all these external cards and things like this right now, I'm sure my speech is a little bit distant from my voice because my camera is going through audio capture into my computer. My audio is going into a different thing. It's not worth going into the patchwork of how I've stupidly patched all my things together. But the point is to say, once you start moving all these signals around, things can get pushed apart and can get pulled in different directions. So if you dedicate one sound card, or in my case, since I've got these external pieces of equipment that have sound cards in them that hook up through USB, I did a whole bunch of fancy footwork on my software side, and I run Windows 10, and I installed these things called ASIO drivers. Again, we're just opening up all sorts of cans of worms of hours of your life getting lost. But what these do is it changes what it allows your computer to recognize as audio input and output. So instead of being limited to a headphone jack of just green and yellow, or green and pink, of just sound out, sound in, now you can do multiple channels in, multiple channels out through these different USBs. So at one point when I was just totally losing my mind, I had jerry-rigged 6 different inputs so I could have my bass, my guitar, my turntable, my sampler, my RC505, my too much. It was too much, and there was, man, if you think the hum is bad now, it was even worse then. So going back to considerations for a sound card, I would say do more research on shielded power supplies, shielded internal sound cards Otherwise, I would look at doing an external sound card. Specifically, I would look at doing an external audio interface. Things like, let's see if I can, I'll just, you know what, this is the help time. I bet I can hook you guys up in your face. Here we go. The 4 Secured Scarlett. Let's switch over live tab creation. Yeah. This thing is like the most standard version of what I'm talking about. So this is just super simple. Input here, so you put your microphone, or you get a special cord for your bass, or you just use this instrument cable, which is right there. You've got an instrument gain. So this has actually 2 inputs. It's got a microphone phantom power. That's what that 48 volts means. Phantom power just describes the kind of microphone you have, generally speaking. Nicer microphones are phantom powered because they're much more sensitive, and so they need that phantom extra amount of power to really kick in. You've got your ultimate, your monitoring volume right here, your headphones, and then here's what I'm talking about for the interface. If we look at the back here, all it does is through a mini, you see they've changed so much since I've even looked at these. Now it's not even USB 3. That looks like it's either FireWire or it's USB-C, something like that. And let's see if they show the cord here. Yeah, it looks like a USB-C, or maybe it's FireWire. I'm not sure. The point being, this is $100, and if you do not have a direct interface into your computer, that's the way to go, because that is going to guarantee give you very little hum, interference, all that kind of stuff. I'm actually thinking about purchasing one myself. I'm kind of waiting to see if this laptop thing comes through. But that was an excellent question, man. Talking about sound cards and how to hook up your computer for the best sound quality. So good. Yeah, Zach. Yeah, hardware is crazy. Okay, yeah, thank you, Claire. So with the latency stuff, again, it's this is out of the box latency. So what you're seeing right now, I have a Logitech, what's it called? A Logitech 920. So let me switch over. This is my webcam, Logitech 920. So if I'm going to try to snap and see what that's like, or I'll clap, that's easier to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I apologize for clapping in your ears. That's extremely rude. But this is the out of the box latency. I haven't messed with this all because I just gave up on the streaming thing, because it's like, if y'all deal with what it is already, I'm not going to spend the time to fix it, because I need help. It's hard to figure out. The other thing I use is this Gopro right here, which is set on 1080p, and I have that going through an Elgato HD 60S capture card. This thing does pretty darn well. This looks pretty close to myself talking. I'm not going to clap in your ear again. I'm just going to snap. But if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's much closer. It's got a smoother frame rate, but I still don't know how it all works. But you can continually tweak this to move your audio a little forward, move your video a little backwards, so that it syncs it all up so that you're exactly right there. But it's a process I'm too lazy to go into, and I wouldn't do it right. But thank you for the compliment, Claire. I appreciate that. Claire, one of my good homies. All right, Audio Wizards. Yes, I've got an old audio interface. Yeah, man, let me tell you, don't mess with the old. It's fun to have old gear and to repurpose it, but when you're talking about recording, save yourself the headache. Get it. You don't have to buy $1,000 gear, but do your research. Spending $250 is worth saving hours and hours and hours of your life, or worse, recording something and then going down to master mix and just being like, I can't fix this. I recorded with way too much bass and I can't turn the bass down, or I goofed up my mid levels and it's just too muddy. Get yourself a good interface. A Steinberg CI1. I have no idea what that is. It sounds nice though. A little Behringer. That's what I had, man. Behringer, and that's what I had my 16 track. Get the drivers. Look on Behringer is a son of a bitch about not giving you the right drivers. I think they're better with newer stuff, but I had older gear being from 2010 and 12, which should not be that old. But they didn't include the drivers in the USB dongle, so you have to manually get them. Once you manually get them, you're good to go. But if you don't, oh my goodness, they can give you such a nightmare, such a headache. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, Pop Bass Me. I think I saw definitely, yeah, both City Pop Dave and Pop Bass Me. Go check out their channels because they are doing the same kind of thing I'm doing, but they do it in a different way. I love their signal chain. They sound super clean, very, very crisp, no noise. I love their stuff. So that's what Pop Bass Me was saying is he's got this earlier generation. So what I just showed you, here I'll go ahead and go back to that real quick. For those of y'all just joining us, we're talking about audio interfaces. This is the third generation one that just came out that has this new Firewire or USB-C, some kind of interface. But Pop Bass Me's got this going on his channel. Go check him out. He's got super, super clean sound, and that's what it is. I might have to drop 100 bones myself if I can find enough pennies out of the cash. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, they still do that shit. Yeah, it's bare bones, but it has 2 inputs. Here's the thing, man. Start with 2 inputs. Like, do you really need more than 2 inputs at once? Are you recording other things live? Because that's a microphone, that's an instrument. That's all I need. I just have mental problems and can't stop myself from hooking everything up because I just want to be able to play Nobu Saito sounds at any time. So anyway, let's keep going down our list here. So we talked about doing slapping pad on right on time. We got that covered. Okay, double popping. Talked about that. Real quick here, let's do this Friday Chinatown 6644, then 4422. So let's go ahead and go back to our music here. Let's do, is this? Yeah, there it is. So let's go here and find Friday Chinatown. So this is just a quick little figure in here that somebody was specifically asking about. And I think this was actually the piece where it was like, well, how do you do that? What's the time? There we go. They were also asking about the 5th string on the bass. And again, this is a 4-string song, so the 5th string we do not need. So this is what they're talking about here, is right at the end. So at the beginning, let's see if I can get this first line here. Oh, there's that nice hum. Let's see if I can remember how to play it. And then we get to this. Bum, 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 wow, I played that like shit. Let's try that again. So when you get here to this 5/5, this is our measure 5. I'm just barring with my pinky 6/6, and then with my first finger 4/4, and then I'm just plucking down 1 2 3 4. So starting at measure 5, 3 4, bum bum ba bum bum. Set up. That's it. Now I'll go into the next measure, measure 5 into 6, 3 and 4, and set up. Again. Woo! And then you have to get off that 2 real quick. 4 4 2 2 open. Like that. Okay, that was just a quick little one. I promised somebody that I would jump in. I forget exactly who I promised. Sorry. But I did want to cover that. Okay, so we got that one covered. Did the double popping, and now how to mix audio. Okay, here's the last one that has been asked numerous times that I've been meaning to show y'all how to do. And that is how I mix my audio for my songs. Because I'm doing something very stupid, which is mixing a already mixed song with more bass. So, let me show you how you can do that and kind of get away with it. Whew. Oh yeah, we got the mega stream today, baby. Hour 20. Oh, let's go. All right, and what's your opinion on the raking versus alternating fingers for arpeggios? If you can do alternating fingers for arpeggios, you're a beast. Do it. I cannot. I'm stuck with raking. But yeah, man, every technique is worth learning. So, it's always like, do I have to learn this? Do I have to do this? It's like, no, you don't have to. You can always find a way around it. But if you're looking for a specific sound, like a really specific sound, it's probably revolved around some kind of tone knob setup, some kind of right hand to tone setup. Strings can come into play. Your instrument can come into play. Lots and lots and lots of things. Okay, now let's see if this completely crushes the audio here. Oof. Only slightly. Not too bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is open up some Adobe here. This is the DAW that I use, the DAW of choice. And let's see if I've got anything open. Aha. Perfect. Perfect. Copy, paste. Okay, let's see if I can open up City of Silver Gray. You gonna give it to me? MME device internal error. Wonderful. Let's see if this crashes the old stream. I think I fixed it. Okay, sorry guys, I had a little bit of silence there. I did not fix it. Okay, well, just to show you here, we're not going to have a lot of audio, but this is going to show you the general idea of what we need to do here, or how I work. Man, I can't talk. I can't talk and hear it at the same time. Okay, camera right there. There it is. Hello. All right, so this is Adobe Premiere. This is my video workstation that I use. The digital audio workstation that I use, or the DAW, is called Reaper. That's the one that I like. I like it because it's inexpensive, and you can do all the same things, and it's very easy to work with. Plugins are very easy. But I actually do a lot of my audio editing in Adobe Premiere now because they have so many good options. And I have access to Adobe Premiere through the school that I go to. So thank you, university. One good thing that all those fees go for. But as I'm working through here, let's just open up the visual station here for the audio and the video. So these V's up here, as I'm sure you can guess, are the videos. And this A down here, these are the audio levels. So what I've already done here beforehand is gone through and I synced up my bass playing with the playing of the song. Now, I was fortunate in this case that you can see how high these peaks are going. And when we zoom out, you can see, okay, well, these peaks don't go all the way up to the top. All the way to the top, just for your reference, is 0 decibels, which is when you look at let's go ahead and go over here to our audio board here. When you're watching these audio clips play, when you get to that 0, that red line, you're what's called I'm looking at the wrong camera. Where you're peaking, and you do not want to be peaking. I'm just going to... Hello. Okay, so you don't want to be peaking, which is what this is over here. And right now, we're not peaking, so that's good. Okay, that's too close. I like you guys, but I don't like you guys that much. I don't want you looking at my facial hair. There you go. There you go. That's a little bit better. Okay. So as you can see, I'm not going into the red. Let me give you an example, though. If I was to do that and crank that way up high. Nope, still not in the red? Wow, that's pretty good. Well, what if I did this? Oh, there we go. See how it peaked into the red? That is what you do not want. So I'm going to go ahead and undo those two things. But let's go back to that sound here and show you what I'm talking about. So with this sound, one of the biggest things that I can give you advice on how to fix your audio is to do what's called normalizing it. So for me, in this program, I go to audio gain, and then there's an option down here that sets normalize all peaks to whatever. Now, 0, that's loud. If you're normalizing all your peaks to 0, you're really maxing yourself out here. But if I go to something like let me just show you what that would be if I maxed everything out to 2. So you can see the height of this. It stops a little above halfway. So I'm going to maximize this now. Boom! That is so much louder than before. And if you look at my audio interface, it's going to be going, oh, please stop. It's way too much. So let's undo that. Boom. Take that way back down. But what I like to do here is I'll go ahead and do audio gain, normalize. I'll do usually something like -2. Not negative 52. Negative 2. Let's see where that takes us. So that still takes us pretty high. Now, the reason in this case that I did not take it so high is because my original track down here didn't have it so high. So I had a lot easier time blending these two things in. Okay, let's check in here and see if we have any questions here. Raking for I haven't even attempted. It looked like yeah. What DAW is this? Okay, yeah, this is Adobe Premiere. So good question. All right, now we start going into, and again, I apologize, I don't have the audio working here. I'll get that going here in just 1 second. Let's go ahead and go to, oop, there it is, preferences, audio hardware. You can look at all my goofed up settings. So the RC505 out is not what we want. I bet what we want is it going to be a virtual cable? Yes. I bet that will help us. And then I'll go in here and I'll add this virtual cable. Let's see if that did it. Every once in a while, it's like I know what I'm doing. Just occasionally. So now let's go ahead and do all those things I was talking about, and everybody watch your ears. I'm giving you a warning right now. Watch those ears. Okay, so this is what the final mix I came up with sounds like. Okay, it's loud, but again, the idea it's loud because it's a bass tutorial video. I want you to hear the bass. Now, let's go ahead and do, oh crud, let's do that thing I wanted to do earlier, which is normalize all peaks to 0. Let's just hear what that sounds like. Good gravy. Woo! And you can see here on the right, no you can't, it's blocked out. My audio is peaking like crazy, so we're going to do a Control Z and look at the difference here. Huge change in that right there. Okay, so now, why do I bring this up as such an important thing if it's like, well, Alex, you just told us not to do that, even though you made a big stink about it? It's because a lot of times audio comes in like this. It's very, very common. Dave had sent me a video one time. This was months and months and months ago when we were both still starting our channels. And he was just like, hey, man, can you help me with this audio? Like, I can't mix it in. It's too quiet. And if I keep messing with it and peaking it out, I get all these extra sounds. This is the problem. If you have audio like this is impossible to mix in. Like, you can't even hear me. I'm going to mute myself. Look, listen how quiet that is. Extremely quiet. Now I'm going to undo what I did. It jumps back up automatically into audio levels. So that's a big thing that y'all can do, is to make sure that you've normalized your audio to an adjustable or to an appropriate level. And you want to do this very, 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 very first, because you see I've had to chop things up here because I had to move things around to get the tab to line up. It was a video problem, not an audio problem, but the audio is connected to the video, so I had to slice it up and make sure that I had done all my EQing beforehand. Second part of it, EQ. Now, before I go into that, we got another question here. See, most video platforms normalize audio levels because psychologically louder videos are perceived as better. So to prevent people from making very loud vids, YouTube will hit you with a sound penalty if it's too loud. That is a very good point. Another thing that I had no idea was going on. But yeah, one more reason to normalize your audio and make sure that you are checking your levels, both what you're putting in and what you're pulling out. Because if at the end of the day, you're pushing something out that's peaking on those top levels, it's going to make the YouTube gods super pissed off, and then they'll mess with your video, which is not what we want. Also, Dave is saying that if that video gets lowered, it will distort your video, which is absolutely unacceptable. So let's keep going on with that idea of how do we get this audio level to stay consistent. So we've normalized our audio for this example here, and I'm just going to make these bigger again so you can see them a little bit better, and I'm just going to zoom in, blah, 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 so we can see our two audio levels. So down here in the green, we've got our original track. Let's just listen to that a little bit here. Okay, so as we double click on this right here, whoops, let's go to effects. Sorry, effects control, here we go. We're going to look, and now I didn't know I did this. I guess I didn't put this. Usually when I come down here, you can see I've got nothing over here. But what I'll do is I'll take an EQ, a parametric equalizer. I'll drag that on here. And what we can do is we can look at what we're dealing with as far as the audio track. So let's listen. So again, this is the track without me playing. This is just the original track. This is what it looks like. So as you can see, we're chilling pretty evenly. As we take this snapshot here, we can see we've leveled out our low bass right there. We've got a little bit of things. We can see our frequencies down here. Here's 1,000. That goes all the way down to 100, and then even lower, lower, lower. And up here we have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. Exponentially goes higher as we get up here. But generally, we're keeping this in a pretty solid shape. Let's look at this one more time. Okay, so it's a bass song. We got a little more in the bass range. It makes sense. Now let's look at what I've got going on my bass EQ, and let's try to ignore those video effects here. Yeah, look at this shenanigan that I did for myself here. So let's listen now to my bass line and see if I can isolate that. And let's go ahead and just rewind a little bit so we can see all of the first track here. Whoop. There we go. So you can see here, if I take this off, this is what I sound like. This is how I recorded myself. Now, I don't know about you, I think that sounds like absolute garbage. It sounds like shit. There's no bass, there's so much treble, there's so much tone, but I wanted to make sure that I very equally captured all three of my frequencies. A good sampling of my low, good sampling of my mid, good sampling of my high. And as you can see here, if I turn this off, whoops, it went past my marker point. Let's go back here for a second. Okay. Once I turn this on, you'll hear the difference. Off. On. Off. On. Okay. So obviously that sounds much better when I've done this little EQ trick. And what I've done over here, you can see I've pulled up the 100 range, which is the rumbly, the good rumble low sound that you want in your bass. And if you remember, if you recall from over here, when we were listening to our audio track by itself over here, we've got a little bit of activity over here in the 100 range. Now, this song was so mild, I did not feel the need to pull this out. However, in a lot of songs, I do this. I come in right here and I pull that down. Because now it's gone. Like the bass is gone. There it is. Now here it goes. Goodbye. Goodbye, bass. I mean, you can really pull out the soul of a song by pulling out the bass like that. But if I do a little bit of that now, it's empty. But if I rewind now, get back into it, and then I put my bass in, it really stands out. Now, in this case, it was too much, and I didn't want that much, so that blends a little better. And that's another thing that's just a trial and error kind of nightmare, is you have to see, well, do I need to take, okay, what frequencies are getting in the way of each other?
I'm messing with bass. So I look at my bass here. I don't want any of this mid-tone crap. You don't need to hear the fidelity of each one of my notes. You need to hear the rumble, and then you need to hear the pops. And you need to hear, whenever it's going to be that high of a frequency, you're going to know what the note is. I don't need that clarity and definition of sound that I would need for something like drums or something that I would need for vocals or things like that. I'm going to cut this middle range totally out, kick it out. I boost my 100 frequency because, again, let's listen to just my bass by itself with no modifications. It sounds like hell. Boo. Add some EQ. It sounds a little bit better. You put it in context with everything else. And it fits better. So again, through trial and error, I found this shape for this song at this time with these strings. This worked for me. But my general notes I can give you guys, you want to look around the 100 range. You want to look to boost that a little bit. Look around the 1,000 range. Sometimes it's 1,000, sometimes it's all the way up to 2,000, but you can get some really nasty sounds in there that you can pull out. Let me see if I can give you an example of that real quick. So it's hard to hear. It's a subtle thing, and I don't know if you have hopefully you don't have headphones on because I'm blasting y'all with audio that's way too loud here. But that is the general idea of how you want to push and seat these things together when you're mixing. Now, this is very, very basic mixing of two things. I've got a pre-mixed track down here, my green track that's already figured out, has all the curves and stuff that it needs. I can come in here, if I don't like that frequency and I need more room, I can pull that down. I can give myself a little bit more room. Or like in this case of this song, I do nothing because it was so mild of a song anyway. In general, from what I've experienced, songs from the 60s and 70s are very clear, very clean. Each instrument pops out and there's very little distinction between bass and mid. It's like the same game. Once you get into the 80s, you start to separate that bass out a little bit more, but it's kind of the wild west of mixing and producing. Once you get into the 90s and on, it's pretty standardized. Stuff is properly mixed together really, really well. I'm the dum-dum for not figuring out how to do it better for all the years I've spent on this trying to figure it out and all that kind of good stuff. But you can do a lot of this mixing at home, and there were questions earlier Dave brought up as far as, well, do you need to have, a compressor, a physical compressor, or can you use a compressor inside of a DAW or a digital audio workstation, what we're doing right here? They're the same now. If you set it up properly, probably the computer's better, to be honest with you, but I just am not good enough with the technology to definitively give you that yes or no answer. But hopefully this was helpful, and this had at least the smallest amount of giving a little more light into that topic. All right, let's see if we can pick up any of these last questions here. Okay, this song. I'm glad you like this song. Yeah, City Silver Gray is a dope song. It really is a good one. The pattern of equal you're describing, I hear people refer to as scooped mids, which I find works for like 80% of songs. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about here. So with all the little minutia and all the little details of what you want to do for each song and the mixing, it's a song-to-song basis. It really comes down to what song are you dealing with, what it sounds like. You got to use your ears and use your intuition. Am I looking at the right camera? Hey, I'm looking at the right camera for the first time. Okay. Yeah, you got to use just kind of experience on that one. But what Dave's talking about here, he's talking about the 80% scooped mids. Yeah, man, if you drop your mids on your bass and you even just that, you're already in way better territory because now you're not competing. You never want to compete with other sound levels. So really great. If I can give you one more tip for the day, go just look up a quick guide on Google or something about frequency ranges, about where the human voice, how that operates and lays, where our frequencies are, guitar, bass, percussion instruments, horns. That's a really interesting one because they have arguably one of the biggest sweeps. I mean, strings, everybody hits everything, but if you're talking about violins, there's so much pressure in the high register versus low register. And then if you're talking about bass, obviously you can overload the bass with electronic signals so easily. It's just kind of a joke, but anyway. Yeah. Okay. It's a colon left parenthesis. Okay, I'm done with homework. And as soon as you're done with homework, I think I'm about as done as I can be before I pass out because I haven't had lunch yet and I'm a hungry boy. So I'm going to go get some food. All right. Hopefully, though, this was helpful to y'all. I did not get to any of the tab stuff that I wanted to do. Just to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're looking at here. We've got Cowboy Bebop Rush. I'm going to be working on that. Tatsuro Yamashita, Space Scraper, and Sparkle. Both of those songs. Henri, Can't Stop the Loneliness. And there was another Henri song. Crap. Anyway, there's 2 Henri songs on there. Yuki Saito, Straw Hat Summer Feeling. Slow Jam getting in there. Cassiopeia, Time Limit. I've decided that I hate myself and I want to give myself the hardest ear training exercise of all time. That song's badass, though. And then Billie Jean Part 2, also known as Miki Matsubara's Wangan Highway. There's the City Pop, the original City Pop Discord, self-imploded by a couple clowns being jerks in there, it sounds like. But the new City Pop Discord has risen from the ashes. But there was a hilarious meme that was the Umbrella Academy that had 2 people recognizing each other, and one of them said Billie Jean and one of them said Wangan Highway. If you haven't heard it, it's the same bass line, man. I mean, the songs are 1 year apart. Whoever wrote the bass line for Wangan Highway absolutely ripped it off of Billie Jean. There's just no question. Anywho, I'm going to be back later. We're going to work on some more songs. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. I got to read this book, man. Thomas Mann, the Dr. Faustus. It's super interesting. Dialectic between chaos and order, which is always a fun discussion. But that's for a later date. I hope y'all have a great rest of the day. I will catch y'all later. Peace out.